So the most common that I mentioned is an H-1B visa. These are specialty occupation workers. So they usually have an advanced degree, like a bachelor's degree or a master's degree, and they're here temporarily for either 3 years or 6 years, and then can extend their application or extend their H-1B if their employer sponsors for them. Unfortunately, for a lot of applicants, getting their employers to sponsor them is not a realistic option. Indian nationals, especially Chinese nationals, have a really long visa wait time from the time the employer sponsors them until they finally become eligible for a green card. And during that whole time, they have to continue to maintain that H-1B status. So we see a lot of people who are trying to get out of that H-1B pipeline who then are eligible to apply for a green card. Similarly to an L1, which is for executives and managers, they may be able to apply for an EB1, but it's rare that they'd be immediately eligible for an EB1. So we do tend to see a lot of people in L1s, especially those who are not multinational managers, who are going to be applying for a green card through the EB5 process. The great thing about H-1Bs and L1s is that you are allowed to have dual intent, which means that you are eligible to file for the green card application and continue to maintain your H-1B or L1 if you choose to do so. Some clients prefer that. Some clients want to maintain that H-1B L1 until they have their green card physically in their hand. Others will say as soon as they get the work authorization, they want to give up that employer-sponsored petition and now have an independent basis. Then let's talk about 3 other common types of applicants who apply for green card in the US. The next common type are E-2 visas. These are business owners who have a business in the United States. It doesn't eventually lead to a green card, but now they do become eligible or they are able to file for an EB5 and a green card application. There are F1 students who are here attending either undergraduate or graduate school and don't want to try to find an employer to sponsor them or get worried that they're not going to find one in time, and then switch over to an EB5 with a concurrent green card that gives them that work authorization, which makes them more competitive in the labor market. So those 2 I specified and kind of separated from the H-1B and L1 because these 2 are not dual intent visas, meaning that once you apply for the green card application, you have to remain in the United States until your travel permit is approved, and then you can travel. So these are the ones that have travel restrictions. And additionally, we'd want to make sure that the timing of the green card application filing makes sense for these 2 types of applicants, because every time you enter on an F1 or an E-2 visa, you're telling the government that you don't have intent to reside permanently. So there are timing concerns in terms of when you can file and how quickly you'd be able to travel internationally on those 2 visas. Now, the last one I want to focus on is a B1, B2 visa. These are tourists for business or visitors who are coming to the United States. And some applicants will come into the US and then realize that, hey, this EB5 option is available and allows me to file for a green card and remain in the US. So applicants who've entered on a B1, B2 and subsequent to that decide to file for a green card, fantastic. We usually generally tell them wait 90 days and then we can discuss and figure out what are the appropriate options. Where I try to dissuade people is coming in on a B1, B2 with the intention of filing for the green card application, which could lead to intent issues at the border. So that's not something that I recommend. But if you're in the US on a B1, B2 and you're considering an EB5, it's certainly an option that does become available and you do become eligible to file the green card application.